County Commissioners to order. If I could get Commissioner Powell to do an invocation for us, please.
If you desire, pray with me, please. Father God, we thank you for the health and strength and opportunity of being here today. Pray your divine guidance and direction as we go about the business of the county. And do indeed pray that our decisions will be good and right for the people and citizens of Person County. In your holy name we pray. Amen.
Commissioner,
stand and face the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I have one adjustment of the agenda, and it's to add the abstract of Home and Community Care Block Grant. With this addition, what's the pleasure of the board?
So moved.
All right.
And we're going to make that item number?
Item number 4.
Okay.
All right. Any further discussion? All in favor of accepting the adjusted agenda, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. Item number 1, excuse me, we've got an informal comment period. Getting ready to forget the guys that came to speak to us. Carter Lewis, if you would step to the podium, give your name and address, please.
Carter Lewis. We live at 204 Whipwheel Lane, Samora, North Carolina.
Okay, you got 5 minutes. We got 2 people that request to speak.
Thank you. Good morning. Again, my name's Carter Lewis. My wife, Missy Lewis, and this is our chef, Kirby. He's going to get up and talk. Missy and I just took over the restaurant at Hyco Lake. We named it Bowie's. I've lived at Hyco Lake for 10 years. We're the 7th different owner in 10 years. And it's not what I do. Our real job is, well, it's going to be what we do, but our current job is we have a grading company. I took over a company my parents started in 1969 in Person County. Jimmy Lewis & Sons is the name of it, and we have we employ about 50 people. We have another division of that, the Site Work Utilities, that does water, sewer, storm drain. So been in the county all my life, born and raised here, lived on the lake for 10 years, and just want to find, see the restaurant be successful, give people, make it another destination place. As you know, our restaurant selections, and they're getting better, and we just want to add on to that, and I'm going to let Chef Kirby talk more to that. But we're here to talk about the having brunch and being able to serve alcohol at 10 o'clock on Sundays. We want to serve, do a brunch menu that Chef has prepared. We want to be able to just do a Bloody Mary mimosa, something like that, with a meal. This will it'll get us another job shift for our people, our employees, give them more time, give them an opportunity to earn more money, as well as, it'll give us another revenue stream to help our business grow and be more successful. So that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kirby McSherry, same thing. State your name and address, please.
My name is Kirby McSherry. I live in 9230 NC Highway 57 in Rougemont. So I'm not living in the county right now, but I've born and raised around here. My uncle, Blake McSherry, has owned an insurance company in Roxborough for as long as I can remember. But yeah, Carter and them brought me in to help get their restaurant started. I've worked at all the restaurants, the nicer restaurants in town, Brooklyn Eats and at Heirloom. This bill will help bring customers to, I know they're trying to get it passed for the city limits also. It'll help bring customers in and give reason for our local people to support the community rather than driving to Durham, driving to Hillsborough, driving to Danville. Give us a reason to help build and support all of our local restaurants and, hopefully get some more things going in town. All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 1, discussion and adjustment and approval of the consent agenda. Do I have any discussion on the consent agenda?
Move for approval.
Got a motion on the table to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. New business, item number 2, the first reading of the proposed ordinance to allow the sale of alcoholic beverages before noon on Sundays at licensed premises. Is there any discussion? What's the pleasure of the board?
Move to approve.
Got a motion on the table to approve the sale of alcoholic beverages before noon on Sunday. Do I need to read the?
The proposed ordinance? No.
Okay. Got a motion on the table. Any further discussion?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, go ahead. You
I
got
was
it.
gonna ask, takes effect when?
If it's a unanimous vote, you can set the effective date as early as today. If there's not a unanimous vote, then you have to bring it back for a second read at your next meeting. It can be approved by a simple majority, and you can set the effective date whenever you'd like.
You know, one of the things that came up was the helping of our restaurants be more profitable so that we can possibly get more people in. One of the things that wasn't mentioned was the tax revenue that we could get here in the county off the sale of these things. As everybody knows, we get a certain percentage back from the state on our sales tax, and so just wanted to make a point that, you know, that could help us in the county as well as having more businesses that may come to Person County because of the passing of this ordinance. Is there any further discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. I guess most of you probably were not on this board when they had liquor by the drink put on the ballot. I didn't support that. And I don't think from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock it's gonna make a lot of difference. And I mean, I'm still not interested in supporting it. So I just want to point that out. If it was any day but Sunday and there was a problem with it, I wouldn't mind extending the hours, but I'm not gonna make a big issue out of it, but I'm not gonna vote for it.
Understood. Any further discussion? All right, we still have the motion on the table. Motion's on the table to allow the sale of alcoholic beverages before noon. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
No.
All right, we'll bring it back to our next meeting. Item number 3, groundwater monitoring at the old landfill. Mr. Fashy.
Good morning, Commissioners and Manager. As I'm sure all of you know, the county owns the old landfill on Cedar Grove Church Road that was closed in 1994. And part of that closure agreement required that we monitor the groundwater around that landfill. And there were 6 groundwater wells dug at that time and have been monitored ever since then on a, I guess you call it a biannual basis, twice a year, every May and November. And those, based on those monitoring, we have a contractor that takes the water samples, sends them directly to Raleigh. They send us a report back, and they also send a report on to the Raleigh office. Well, those, in the May report this year, the Raleigh office basically notified us that we were exceeding the groundwater limits. I guess technically they call it the NC groundwater standards on some organic and some inorganic matters. Based on that, they required the county to submit a plan which should assess the cause, significance, and the extent of the contamination. Smith Garner is the firm of choice that we selected to give us prices on that. Smith Garner, as you may know, is also monitoring the methane gas down there for us and sending those reports in and help us with that remediation. Smith Garner's estimated quote is $6,500 to develop that plan of action, but part of that plan involves possibly digging up to 4 more wells down there, which would help them report the extent of the problem. How far is it moving? Does that contamination move out from the landfill? So, and that they say would be an additional $15,000. And the question may come to mind, well, why all of a sudden is it getting worse? And the best answer I could give you to that is looking at the reports that I've been sending in since the 10 years that I've been here. There's always been limits that exceed the NC groundwater standards. I don't really see where the recent report is any different. And when I questioned about it, they said that the NC, I guess you call them the governing agency that's looking after it, was just tightening the standards. So I don't, in what I'm seeing, I don't see where it's any worse now than it was last year or the year before, but the groundwater standards people, waste management people have decided that they're going to look at it closer, and therefore we're subject to submitting this plan or face the consequences. They basically give us 90 days to provide that plan back to them, or consequences such as fines and so forth.
Any questions for Mr. Fashee?
Mr. Fashee, what is that? When did that 90-day period begin?
That 90-day period began June
25th.
25th, I think it is, yeah.
And we
And,
just started hearing about it.
Joan Smith from Smith Gardner, I was in conversation with her in recent weeks, and she said that if we got approval today to move forward, she didn't see any problem in meeting that deadline.
It's already in your budget, or are we taking it from contingency?
We'll bring back a budget amendment, I think. Isn't that the plan?
Yeah, I mean, it's no budgeted item for it right now.
Mr. Chairman, you know, when they had the material that got into the water supply, that they finally found it, I think it was coming from way back up in Johnson County, but they found it down at, you know, near Wilmington or down in that area, and the water supply here recently came from, I don't know, whether Teflon, and I'm not using the right name for the chemical, but it was something they hadn't been checking for. And of course now they check for parts per billion, where when I was working, a lot of the times it was parts per million, so they're looking for, but they're also trying to catch any of these problems, I think, before they spread, or before sometimes they had moved out. So like he says, there's probably some limits that they've been close on before. They're getting where they're much more cautious. So, you know, I understand where you're coming from with it. I don't see that we really have any choice, but the environmental standards, as we get more people and more industries and more pollutants that we may not even know we have, you'll see things like this happening more and more. And of course that landfill down there was not lined, so you know, I don't know whether anything's moving in it or whether it's just naturally occurring. It's hard to say until they do what they're doing.
How long was that landfill operational, from what to what? I know you said 94.
It was, how long it was in operation?
When did it open?
I'm not sure. Jimmy might be better at that.
Let's see, sometime in the 80s, I think. Let me think. I was working at the health department when they opened that landfill. They had a dump out on the side of Mountain Road before that. And they had opened that landfill, and then they were forced to close it. That landfill actually was not full when they closed it. They were forced to close it because it was unlined. And they went to the lined landfills, and that's when they worked out the deal with.
And I would say that we're required by the state to monitor it for 30 years. So I mean, 30 years I think is coming up in 2024. Now, will they extend that, or will they drop the monitoring in? Is, I guess, anybody's guess. But initially, they require that you monitor it 30 years.
That was my next question. Is this a ongoing forever thing since it's there?
Yeah, along with what Ray just said, do we, as we move forward with our budget, should we put a contingency in place for something that may come up? It may be better to set aside a little bit of money and have it ready for it if something does come up, rather than wait till it happens and then have to figure out what you're going to do with it.
I think you're exactly right. And I think if you found anything in any of these samples, and if they turn up nothing, when you know we do the follow-up, you're probably good with your 30 years, but I'll suspect that if you picked up anything much, that your 30 years is going to get extended. I'll be surprised.
Any further questions or discussion? It's the pleasure of the board.
Vote for approval.
Got a motion on the table to approve it as submitted. Any further discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Ayes have it. Thank you. Item number 4, Holman Community Care Block Grant. Ms. Harper.
Good morning, gentlemen. It's good news. More
Good.
money, and more money, and more money. When I came before you in June with this budget, just the week before, we gotten word that the big cut we sustained part of it had been reinstated due to some new legislative money. Then about 3 or 4 weeks ago, we were informed that they had corrected the formulary for the region, and we got another $507. So we did our grant committee thing and got that going. And just last week, we got another notification that it was now a corrected formulary, which brought some more money in. So altogether, it's $5,900 and about a little over, not quite $6,000 is what I'm coming to you today. What the recommendation was, with the original cut, the senior center took the cut because we get the biggest portion of the money. When it was reinstated, the committee gave it to the senior center. The $507 went to DSS, and the latest amount, which is $5,445, was recommended to go to the senior center. So what I'm bringing to you today is corrected forms with the latest formularies in the budgets, and are asking for your approval for these corrected amounts.
Any questions, discussion?
Move for approval.
Got a motion on the table to approve the abstract agenda as presented. Any further discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Chairman's report, just wanted to say that quite a few of us showed up for the ribbon cutting at the newspaper the other day. I think it was a really good event. We had a lot of community people there, along with a lot of the community. They showed up en masse this time. I think when we the people present food, people come out of the woodwork. So it was a nice event. I really enjoyed it. Quite a few folks around. So look forward to doing some more ribbon cuttings in the future. But that's all I've got. Manager.
Just a quick update on the home health and hospice. We're continuing to work with our consultant on that, and I have a call, Ron and I have a call with him this afternoon. We're hoping to try to close on that by the end of October. So we'll be bringing back to you a contract for negotiation and review as soon as we can. The potential buyer is in the due diligence phase right now and collecting lots of different financial documents and reviewing patient loads and such. So that's where we're at with that process. Thanks. That's it.
Vice Chairman.
Oh.
Started a different route
You
this
did.
time.
Yeah.
Caught me off guard.
Woke you up.
I'm daydreaming. Yeah. Well, ribbon cutting was fun, and they all are fun because that's increasing business in our county. This just sort of as an update a little bit with something that might come along a little later. This is one of my cardinal weekends as I go to meetings beginning on Fridays, and I ride by and I see people on the lake and they're fishing. Others out mowing their lawns, and then I stay through Saturday and I come back and they're still doing the same thing. So I spent my weekend with Cardinal. One important thing there, long story short, the state cut Cardinal's funding $44 million this budget year. So if you hear anything from our local people with their budget issues related to mental health and disabilities and addiction, then I'm sure there would be some trickle-down impact locally from those cuts and through that board. So I just wanted to kind of alert you to the possibility of some of those things coming along, but that's all I have.
Commissioner Prier.
I just want to remind everyone this is Friday and Saturday we have personality, so look forward to seeing everyone out there.
Commissioner Clayton.
Well, I want to remind you of the Cartar meeting in September. Y'all are all invited to come to that. I'll be chair of that this coming year, so you'll be welcome to come. They have a banquet each year and do some awards. If you hadn't been before, it'd be a good thing to go. You'll get that date again. I think you probably got something from Brenda. You got that date over there. She got a reminder. So they are involved in lots of help. I think the manager went to a little conference this past week with the Cartar group, and I know we do our own economic development thing, but they also have people over there that will help us do things if we having problems with some technical problems with some grants or with some senior stuff or some other stuff that Maynell's involved in. You know, they're there to help us, and we need to take advantage of it. And just because they're located in Vance County we're the farthest county west, and Franklin's the farthest, I guess, east. And so, you know, you got kind of a diversification there. We're all pretty rural, but they're there to help. So if you think of things sometimes that can be done on a regional, and the state promotes all this regional stuff, and that's why they actually exist. So keep that in mind.
Commissioner Jefferson.
Next Wednesday, the 29th at 3 p.m. I invite you all up to the FEMA shelter for an ice cream social. The DSS board is giving for the DSS employees. It's some kind of morale booster the board does every year, just to say kind of thank you, and we're appreciative of all the work that they do up there. That is our largest department, and if you ever walk through there and just look at the paperwork on some of their desks, it's quite a bit. A lot of people apply for services, and if they qualify or not, you still have to process all of those applications and kind of go through the hoops, so to speak. But we'll invite you all up there. It's
What time was that?
3 p.m.
And
FEMA shelter.
You said the 29th. At what time?
3 p.m.
Thank you. All right. At this time, I'd like to entertain a motion to enter into closed session per General Statute 143-318.11A6 for the purpose to discuss personnel with the following individuals permitted to attend: County Manager Heidi York, Clerk to the Board Brenda Reeves.
So moved.
Got a motion to go into closed session. Any discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. All right.
Thank you. Thank you.
You said 2, didn't you? What time did you say?
Thank you.
What time?